My name's Daniel Jung. This is my submission for POE Part 2. This is my main class. This is my task class, and these are my test class. Okay, so you scroll down. Here will be the start. As you can see here, new login attempt dot login user equals true. What this is basically doing is it's going to confirm that the login was successful. We then call the task class. Okay. Option select, which was set up here. Option select equals new task dot task select. So if you go here in our task and you scroll up, there will be the task select here, which is going to give you a window with some buttons that you can push to select which one. It's going to return 0, 1, or 2, and then it will go between different sections depending on which ones you select. So if you go here, basically, while the option select, which is this, does not equal 2, so in other words, does not equal quit, it will continuously run the flow. And then if it equals 0, which is the first option, it's going to be add task. The second option is going to be coming soon. And what it'll basically do is it's going to show the user that it's still in development. And then it's going to re-ask them to input option 1. Basically either say quit or add task. Okay, so let's say we add task. We send task, the first and last name of our developer, and then we run. So we're calling log new task. See here under log new task, see here we're gonna ask the user how many tasks do you want to run. Okay, then here we set an array so we can store each task. This is going to be used more for the part 3, but I built it in now anyway. So here, you see here, we set the developer's name, last name, okay, easy as that. And then here, the loop here is based on this number that you input here. So this number that you get, which is asking them how many tasks they want to add, is going to dictate how big our array is going to be. And then it's also going to detect how many times we run loading a new task. So basically, because everything now runs inside the task method, it no longer comes to the main method. It's only going to come to the main method back at the very end. So to walk you through it, basically we're going to ask them for inputs, descriptions, task name. You see here it gets description. Then what it does is it's going to check if it's going to carry on asking for the description as long as task description. So if you go down here to check task description, if the description received is greater than 50, the result is false. If it's not, it equals true. And if you come back up to the top, I've lost my place. You see, as long as it equals false, continuously ask the user to input a new task description, and then at the end it will add that is less than 50 characters. So it'll add the less than 50 character section. Okay, then we ask them for an integer for how long the task is going to take. Then we have two methods that were created for basically the counter at the end of the section. So we have add hours, which basically takes a variable we've set up here, 0. What it does is it goes, that variable is equal to that variable plus hours, which is what we sent them during duration. So no matter how many times this loop will run, we will be adding to total hours. And then we have a reset. This is in case we need to reset the timer for whatever reason, specifically created for my task test. So if you look here, when I'm busy displaying the two tests, I just reset the hours to ensure that I get accurate results with my test data. But anyway, and then I have a public total hours here, which is going to return total hours to the method. So we're going to loop through the tasks multiple times, asking for duration, as many tasks as we need to load, and then we're going to get we're going to return total hours when we call it. Return total hours is returned here. Return total hours. Okay. Then we have task ID. Okay. What this is going to do is it's going to create it's our ID task creator for our custom IDs. So as you can see, it receives name. It receives num. Now if you look here, num is actually the number of the for loop. So our ID start at 0, and every time this loop will run, it'll give it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 auto-generated each time the loop will run. So it will receive that number here. It receives the task name. It receives the developer name, specifically name, not surname, just name. Okay. There. Then we initialize a variable. We check the length of name. Okay. Then what happens is we create it. So task, which is the task name dot substring, we want the values between position 0 and position 2, and we could make them uppercase. We then add the double dot number, which is the auto-generated number up there, which I showed you earlier, double dot, and then here's why we needed length. So you see we initialize length there. What this does is it's going to basically take name of the task dot substring, the full length minus 3, and basically what it's basically going to do is it's going to take the last 3 digits of name, take those last 3 digits, make them uppercase, and add them to the task ID, and then simple as returns task ID back to the main class. Okay, then we do okay, we create ID. Last, we have status check. Status check uses the exact same basic method that this used. The day option show option dialog box. Okay, but here, see, to do, done, doing. I then switch it with a case statement. Same as I did in this. It's a case statement to identify where I'm supposed to go. Case statement will basically instantiate, or not instantiate, will, can't think of the word. That variable will now be equal to that. Okay. There through the case statement. Then we have string output. Okay. String output, print task details. Okay, this is another method. We're sending it now all the variables that we've received. There, see all the variables, and then I can't zoom out, sorry. Then print task details. Here we receive. Here's where we set out all the task details, the headings, the new lines, everything, so that it looks good. Okay, we return it back to oh man, I've lost my spot. Return it back to here. Link output. Okay, then task array. Basically the array we initialized. Where's my task array? Task array, there. See? Initialize task array with the number of tasks that we want to load. And then we're still using that for loop I. We then save that task that in the format that was created here. This format is then saved in this array. Okay, because it's output. And then here's where we're basically displaying that array. So once the whole for loop is done, so you see here at the end of the for loop, we then re-loop it again, jOptionPay.show, task array y increments every time, so it shows you the first task, shows you the second task. Okay, then it's going to get to the end. We're going to come back here. We're then going to display how long, the total hours for the tasks. Option select. Okay, and then yeah, that's the project. So I'm going to run some